Hello, my name is Kayla Weaver, and I'm a CPA at Arndt & Company CPAs. In this video, I'll be going over how to reconcile an account in QuickBooks Online. So I have a sample company file pulled up here in QuickBooks, and that's what we'll be working off of. So first I want to make sure that I've got all my transactions entered that I'll need for the bank reconciliation. We're going to be looking at the checking account, and I'm going to be doing the reconciliation through October 31st of 2020. So I want to make sure that I've got all my October or pre-October transactions entered down here, which it looks like I do, because my oldest transaction is from November 16th. So hopefully we'll be good to go there, and we're just, again, going to focus on the checking account for this video. So to get to the reconciliation screen, you'll go over to Accounting, and then you can select Reconcile, or you can click on Accounting first and then make sure Reconcile is clicked up here. We are going to reconcile the checking account, as I mentioned, so we're good there. And then we can start working on our information. So whenever you reconcile, you're going to use your bank or credit card statement to reconcile off of. So in our case, our last reconciliation of the checking account was from a bank statement with an end date of September 30th, 2020. This is pretty frequent in business checking and savings account to be the last day of the month, though it's not always that way. It can sometimes fall within the middle of the month. Credit cards are very likely going to fall within the middle of the month, so you just need to use that credit card statement's ending date, whether it would be, September 7th, then you go off the September 7th as your end date, and you enter in that ending balance it shows on that statement. But in this case, we're looking at end of the month statement, so I'm going to go ahead and do a split screen here, with one half of the screen being the reconciliation in QuickBooks and the other half being the bank statement. If you have more than one monitor, you could just have each of these screens on a separate monitor, or if you have a physical bank statement copy, you could just leave the screen like this and use your physical bank statement. So we've got this sample bank statement that runs through, again, October 31st is our end date. So we'll go ahead and input the information into QuickBooks that we see here. So our ending balance is shown right there on our bank statement. We'll go ahead and enter that in, and then again our ending date we know to be October 31st. And then we can go ahead and start reconciling. So you can see it already selected a transaction. It'll usually do this whenever you have entered that transaction through the bank feeds. So if you're using bank feeds, there's a good chance that QuickBooks has everything highlighted already that it found from the bank feeds. But for purposes of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and start fresh and not include that. So I'm going to adjust these columns a little bit. Again, it's having the split screen just makes it a little bit smaller than it usually would be. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at each item on our bank statement and see if it's been captured within QuickBooks Online. Basically what we're doing with a reconciliation is verifying that we've captured everything that our bank statement in this case shows that actually cleared the bank. And then it would be the same for a credit card. You're just verifying that QuickBooks has all of the data, because there are times whenever bank feeds will create multiple transactions that are in error, so it might pull over the same transaction twice. And in that case, we would have too much in QuickBooks. We would need to then find that duplicate transaction and remove it. That way we actually match, again, the actual statement that shows what actually truly happened. And then if there's a reason why perhaps the bank feeds didn't pull over a transaction, but we see it on the bank statement, we'll know that we need to manually enter that to get it within QuickBooks. So we'll start with our deposits and credits. We can see that we've just had one deposit on October 29th for $500. And we can see that it's right here, so we can check mark that one off. Then we'll move on to the withdrawals and checks section and go through each of these and check mark them off as we find them. And that takes care of everything on our checking statement over here. So you can see that it actually kind of mirrors the checking account statement right here. We've got our beginning balance, we've got deposits of 500, we've got payments for 45.64, and then the ending balance is what we entered in, and we match. So we are good to go. That's always what you want. If you do not have a $0 difference, you need to figure out what went wrong and what you need to correct to make it a $0 difference. Now you might notice I have one transaction down here that's not check marked. We always want to at least think about why that would not have been check marked to make sure it's not an error. If it could be uncheck marked and be completely fine, but we just want to make sure that we didn't do something wrong and that it doesn't need to be deleted. So I'll go ahead and maximize this screen to make it a little easier to look at again. And we're going to look at what this transaction actually was. So you can see it was actually a check to Tim Philip Masonry for $125. We most likely are using QuickBooks to print out checks. So we probably entered this in, printed out, and then saved it to the system. However, the reason it's not on the bank statement is because Tim Philip Masonry has not cashed the check yet, or at least our bank hasn't recognized that he's cashed the check yet. So this item should be, it looks like it is legitimate, so we can leave it there. And then it will most likely clear whenever we do our November bank reconciliation. If Tim Philip Masonry cashes the check sometime in November, then whenever we go to do that one, we'll be able to clear it off at that time. So let's go ahead and finish our reconciliation now. And we'll go ahead and look at the report that it provides. And it just kind of summarizes what we just did. So it's got our beginning balance, what cleared, our ending balance, and then this is the line where you can see if there's anything that's uncleared. So like we saw that check that was in QuickBooks but not on the bank statement, that's where this goes. If you had a deposit that you'd entered in QuickBooks but wasn't on the bank statement, that would also be part of this net line item. And then you can see all of the detail on what hit this bank reconciliation down here. All of the different payments, our deposit, and then our uncleared. And if you keep scrolling, you can see that we've already entered some data from November, but this section doesn't really matter. It's not affecting our reconciliation because it's after our reconciliation end date. So that's it. That is how you reconcile. Very important to do this at the end of each month or the end of your statement date if it falls within the middle of the month, because as I said, it just proves that all of the transactions that are on your bank or credit card statement are within QuickBooks. You don't have any extra, and you're not missing any. Unless, like we said, if there's a legitimate uncleared transaction, then that's fine. But it's good to keep track of these because they can sometimes indicate even down the line if something's wrong. So let's say that in our case, this Tim Philip Masonry, he doesn't cash the check in November, he doesn't cash it in December, he doesn't cash it in January. We might need to follow up. Maybe it got lost in the mail. Maybe something else happened and we need to void this one and reissue it. It's just kind of a way to keep track of that as well. So there you go. That's the basics of doing a reconciliation in QuickBooks. You can check out our other videos on our YouTube channel for other helpful hints and tips in QuickBooks, as well as some information on taxation. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.